Okay, so welcome to the Brain Fix podcast. My name's Professor Stuart Allen, and I'm absolutely delighted to welcome today Katie Lees for our podcast on the power of philanthropy. Hello,
yes.
Katie.
Hello, thank you for having me.
No, thanks for coming along. It's great to speak to you. So, Katie, just to start off, can you explain what your current role is and what that involves?
Yeah, of course. So I work at the university in the Division of Development and Alumni Relations. So we are responsible for fundraising across the university and for our alumni relations programme. So that's we have a global alumni base of 550,000 alumni globally, so a huge number of people. My role specifically, I lead the fundraising team responsible for bringing in philanthropic income into the Faculty of Biology, Medicine and Health, where you work.
Okay, great, fantastic. Thank you. And just for those that aren't aware of what exactly it is, what is philanthropy? How would you describe philanthropy and what it is?
Yeah, great question. So philanthropy, in my eyes, is all about partnership. It's partnering to enable great things to happen. It's about connecting people and aligning their interests, and it results in a gift. So the University of Manchester, for people that don't know, was built on philanthropy. It started with a transformational legacy gift from a Manchester industrialist called John Owens.
Okay.
So that was back in 1846, and that established Owens College, and that was enabling education without barriers to the people of Manchester. So since then, today, philanthropy touches every aspect of life at the university. So from research to our students, to kind of getting that research out into the world. So innovation, that innovation pipeline, and throughout all of our cultural institutions as well. So the Manchester Museum, the John Rylands Library, Jodrell Bank. So the university has an incredible community of over 5,000 donors who are worldwide and give at all different levels every year to the university. So it's a really powerful way that people can give to the university.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah. So you mentioned John Owens, and obviously there's other famous philanthropists worldwide. Andrew Carnegie is one I'm always very familiar with, and many will be. So what would nowadays? Because obviously people can think of these philanthropists of the past, but now in the modern day, what's the typical background of people who make these philanthropic gifts?
There is no typical philanthropist or donor to any institution, I would say. So our donors come from all walks of life and give at every different level. So we work with individuals who might have attended the university, so they are alumni of the institution, and they might want to give to our Access and Success Fund. They might want to give £5 a month to see students enable the benefits that they had when they came to university. On the other kind of end of the spectrum, we work with large philanthropic grant-making organisations. So if we think about people like the Brain Tumour Charity, so they funded Professor Petra Hammerlich, who is at the Brain Tumour Chair in Neuro-Oncology. So they fully funded a whole research programme all around brain cancer. So there's no typical
Right. So it could be individuals, it can be organisations, anything. It all falls under the same umbrella.
When we talk about health fundraising, so I predominantly work in health fundraising. We speak to a lot of people who have been touched by the research in particular disease areas. So there's a very personal affinity for their giving. They want to see advances in, be that brain health, cancer, health inequalities. They see Manchester as a place that's doing incredible research, and they want to advance that, and they see that if they have the means to do that, they would like to get involved. And that could be supporting a PhD project and an early career researcher in doing that, all the way through to kind of the research leads like the Petras and the Stewarts. And to give an example, so this week we've been celebrating across the university and in national news a really significant Manchester breakthrough for Hunter syndrome. So that's a rare inherited condition with a life expectancy of 10 to 20 years. And Manchester researchers have been working on successfully leading the first successful stem cell gene therapy treatment. And we've been working with individual donors to this kind of body of research for almost a decade, and that's families who have family members with the condition. So they've given support PhD projects that have, it's been a decade-long body of research that's enabled this research breakthrough. And there's also been a transformational gift from a large grant-making philanthropic organisation called LifeArc that has enabled this trial. So we see gifts all across that pipeline, that the pump priming gifts to get that research off the ground, those sparks, those ideas, and enables us to collect enough data to then apply for the big research funding, all the way through to those really transformational big philanthropic gifts that get clinical trials off the ground. But that is a really great example, I think, of the span of where philanthropy can really make a difference in a research breakthrough.
And that, you know, I think I've certainly seen that story, and it's an amazing story, and I know some of the researchers involved. But that, how did that get going? Do you know, like, obviously maybe you weren't here when that happened, but how typically, because obviously that starts as a small project in a lab. So how do donors find out about these things, and how do they get that, you know, engagement from the start?
That's a really good question. And so some people will come to us because they know that Manchester is leading globally in an area of research. Some will know our clinical academics because they are seeing them in clinic, and want to learn more about their research, and if they have the means to, then support the research. There's also there's a team of people that are speaking to our alumni all the time about what's going on at the university, and sometimes it resonates with people. So thinking about our donors to cancer research, the number of people that have been affected by cancer, we know that. And so it's about the university telling our story, and we can get more onto, we're launching a big we have launched a big campaign, and that's about our storytelling and how we tell people what we're doing here at Manchester.
So the campaign, you mentioned the campaign, and those that are on the Oxford Road corridor will see signs up, challenge accepted. So this is, so those that don't know what this is, you know, or maybe unaware, what is it all about? What you're trying to achieve?
Yeah, so Challenge Accepted launched 2 weeks ago today, and it's a really exciting moment for Manchester. So it comes on the back of the university launching its new strategy, which is a decade-long strategy. And just about everything that we want to achieve within that strategy will involve us becoming a great philanthropic organisation. So Duncan, our President and Vice Chancellor, talks about philanthropy providing a margin of excellence. So it gives us the opportunity to do things that we wouldn't otherwise be able to do. So Challenge Accepted is kind of our rallying call to our global community of various stakeholders, be they alumni, big grant-making organisations, friends of the institution, both here in Manchester and on a global scale. We have a big target of, we want to raise £400 million for strategic priorities across the institution. So that will broadly support our students, our research, our innovation pipelines, so getting our research out into the world, and our cultural institutions. There've been so many donors, supporters who have been foundational to getting us to the point that we're able to launch a big campaign like this, and many people who have contributed gifts of many varying sizes to many different aspects of the university. So we're really looking forward to continuing to work with them, but also welcoming new donors to our philanthropic community as well through the campaign.
So it's really exciting, you know, to hear Challenge Accepted, and you know, 400 million is a big number. So what, you know, why 400 million? I know it's you know, what makes you think you can achieve that target? Is that something other universities have done, or other institutions?
Yeah, absolutely. So a big philanthropic campaign is not unusual for a university of our size and scale and reputation. the University of Manchester has never done a big philanthropic campaign, but we're really proud that we are successful in our fundraising. People know that we can do great things here at Manchester, and so it now feels like now is our time. So we've launched the strategy, the strategic direction of the university. When people look to make a gift, no matter what size it is, they want to know that the place that they're giving to has a sense of direction. They have a North Star. They are ambitious in their plans, but they also want to connect to that. And so campaign gives us the kind of the vehicle to be telling the stories about amazing research, amazing students, getting our research out into the world, and what we do with our kind of our regional community, and then getting out into national and global as well. So it's definitely, it's not an unusual thing for a university to do, but it is first for Manchester, which is why it's really exciting. But as I say, many donors have laid the groundwork for us to be able to do this. So obviously our thanks to them.
Brilliant, fantastic. And in terms of, you've touched on this already with the story about the Hunter syndrome, and that's a very health related area. Is philanthropy typically directed towards health, or are there other areas where philanthropy is more common?
It's a good question. So I think there's obviously the broad landscape, and people give to a variety of philanthropic causes for a variety of reasons. When you talk to people about why they give to any organisation, some of it has to come from the heart. So
of course.
At the university, we tend to see the majority of our philanthropic income come to support our students, as well as our research. With our students, the drive is not just the standard scholarship and bursary that we'll all be familiar with, that enable people to get through the doors of a university. At Manchester, we want to do so much more than that, because we understand that just providing the means to get them here isn't enough. We need to level the playing field and provide more wraparound support for when they are going through those years of their degree. So we see an awful lot of our alumni giving back to students, and they see themselves in those shoes. On the research side of things, people give to health because health is wealth.
Yep,
everyone wants to live a healthy, longer life, but in good health.
Yep.
So we do see a large proportion of our funding into research into health, and whether that's to a particular disease type or kind of cross-cutting biology, people really understand that there's so much that we can learn from that, as well as for each individual disease type as well. So yeah, it can be far-ranging, but I mean, I'm biased.
Of course.
I fundraise for predominantly for the Faculty of Biology, Medicine and Health, and I enjoy it. I really enjoy seeing the connections that we can make between people and the things that they feel really deeply about, and making advances in areas that that we can all celebrate. You've obviously worked so closely with us, Stuart, for a number of years, with a number of different donors, and I wonder if you can kind of tell our listeners a little bit more about maybe one or two of those relationships, and what you've got from it as a researcher and a leader of a group that's kind of moved into talking to people about philanthropy.
Yeah, absolutely happy to do so. I think for me it was something I'd never thought of before, if I'm honest, before first being approached by the team many years ago, when it was a smaller team than it is nowadays, to meet with potential donors at the time. And it was, obviously we think as academics just about your standard research grants, and you think about getting much studentships through normal routes, and never probably didn't consider philanthropy as a route to pump, prime and support research. So I guess one particular story which really features prominently and continues to do so in our research is engagement with the Natalie Kate Moss family. So Natalie Kate Moss was a student at the University of Manchester who tragically passed away from a brain hemorrhage as she'd graduated, and it was shortly after she passed away from a brain hemorrhage at the age of 26, which was obviously devastating for the family and friends. And actually, in response to that, the family remarkably reached out to the university to say they wanted to do something in legacy, as a legacy for Natalie. So that was back in 2012. And at the time, they had they'll be very honest with us, I'm sure, the family didn't know about research, didn't know how research worked in universities. I think we're not very good at promoting what we do and talking about it behind the closed doors, I guess, of the university establishments. So then the family gave a small amount of money, several £1,000s, to just get things going, really, around brain hemorrhage. Because at the time, we had no real program in brain hemorrhage research. We were focused very much on ischemic stroke, which is a different type of stroke. So brain hemorrhage is slightly different. So that really, if I'm honest, it really gave me a driver, actually, because meeting the family was really personal. The personal story they told really influenced me as to actually this really means something. When you talk about it from the heart, this was absolutely from the heart about they wanted to do something. And then it got me really from the point of view, actually, we need to do something about this because there is nothing for brain hemorrhage. Why aren't we focusing on this area? And then I think also having that responsibility of having somebody's giving their trust in you, and they trust what you say. They trust that you're telling them you can achieve. I think that responsibility it's a big responsibility, but I think I enjoy having that responsibility, but particularly as a partnership. I think what I've found, both for working with the Natalie Kate Moss Trust and other donors I've been lucky enough to work with, is actually that relationship you create where you become a partnership, and it's getting the trust. I guess it's the donor trusting you, trusting the university that they're going to deliver. We don't know what the answer is going to be, right?
Exactly.
Science doesn't. If we knew the answer, we wouldn't do the research, right? So we don't know the answer, so it's giving them the trust that actually they believe what you say, is evidence based, and you're going to try and achieve that. If you don't, that's the nature of science and research. And I think importantly to me is you can take them with you on that journey.
Yes, exactly.
Whereas often a grant from a grant funding body is obviously fantastic to get these grants, but often it's very separate, right? You get the funding, and even nowadays you don't even write reports very often. Whereas here it's a regular touch-in point, and the team are fantastic, right? So there's regular touch-ins, and I think particularly what I've seen from it is how the donors love meeting the actual researchers.
Of course.
They become real faces and real people and real names to them. And I think that really, it's a win-win in both situations, right? The researchers really value the donation, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
And I think, but also that relationship. So I think for me, it's really been life-changing from the point of view of how I view philanthropy and research. But I think what I also learned very quickly, because I was a bit naive, that this sort of pot of money is a way to fund your research, and it's not, right? It's not a replacement for grant funding from the Medical Research Council. To me, it's a way to pump prime. I think you mentioned pump priming. To allow you to start doing things that you can't, because you don't have the money to do it, right? And you've got an idea. To get traditional funding, it's quite hard to get that money, so it gets you going quicker. Because decisions can be very quick. If a donor's keen and wants to get going, it can be weeks,
of course,
rather than months. And it also allows you to leverage. So to pump prime projects that then allow you to gain data, to gain a bit more evidence, to then make your grant applications stronger. And I think within going back to the story about Natalie Kate Moss, they've invested now. Actually, they've invested several $100,000 over the years, but actually, we've leveraged many millions. On the back of that initial investment, we've leveraged many millions, and now really have a whole program. Several academics now whose actually primary focus is brain hemorrhage research.
Amazing.
So that is transformational from that point of view. So
it's
I think
a catalyst effect.
Completely, and I think that's the word. I realise now it's a catalyst. It's a catalyst, and it's fantastic from that point of view. In doing that.
We talk a lot about philanthropy enabling our academic colleagues with almost the freedom to take a certain amount of risk that you aren't able to take with traditional funding routes, and to act with a certain amount of agility and speed that it's really difficult, particularly for early career researchers that might not have more funding at their disposal. So we talk a lot about building that connection between our donors and our academic colleagues. And you were talking about kind of putting the faces on both sides to the names and the research. And the best days that I have doing the work that I do are when I have the privilege of introducing our donors to our academic colleagues in the lab.
Okay.
I love it, and our donors love it. Being able to almost see behind the curtain of what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, it's fascinating, and it puts everything into more of a light almost as to what's going on a day-to-day basis. But when we're talking to donors at kind of every stage of the pipeline, we talk about research being a voyage of discovery. We don't know what's going to happen. We can't promise that we're going to find new treatments for X, Y, or Z. So donors have to come on a journey with us. And it is a genuine privilege of mine to be able to make those connections and see where those things go. Sometimes they don't come to anything. But I always say, if research doesn't come to anything, you've ruled it out, which is so important.
Absolutely.
And for those that do amount to pretty astounding breakthroughs, or the growth of a team, or a growth of a research area that was really underfunded, and because of philanthropy you were able to pump prime and then get additional funding because you've got the data sets to say to the big grant funders. It just snowballs. So this catalyst effect is so important. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And I think what you said about being fascinating to you and the donors when you come to visit the lab, I think that's reciprocated. And certainly my own experience, and I'm sure I speak for the lab members, it's some of the best days they've had when they they want to, take people around the lab, show them some things they're doing. And it also, I think it inspires them and makes them realise that what they're doing has some importance.
Absolutely.
Because, lab work can be mundane. It's often not recognised what people do on a day-to-day work, a day-to-day basis in a research lab. And I think for them to get the chance to talk about it and talk passionate about it and see people who are interested and actually really fascinated by it is a real boost to their confidence, to be honest, in terms of, well, actually what I am doing is worthwhile and I love this.
Yes.
And it's fantastic.
I remember really distinctly a visit that we did in Professor Adam Greenstein's lab, and one of his colleagues had been working on a skill for months and months and months and months, very repetitive, but so skillful. And she was so excited to be able to show this in real life to the donors visiting. And I was in awe that she has the patience and the drive to stick with that. But also to see how excited and what that means on the broader picture for that body of research. So it can be really exciting kind of for both sides of the picture.
Brilliant. And in terms of, we've talked about the experiences I've had and obviously visits, and it's been through the lab and the contacts I've had. So if people want to get, how does a researcher engage with philanthropy? What's the pathway, I guess?
Yeah. Well, what I would say is that so my door and the wider team in the Division of Development and Alumni Relations, our door is very much open. So what makes our jobs far easier is brilliant stories. People telling us about the amazing things that they're working on, the amazing things that they want to be working on. And so what I would say is that if you have brilliant ideas and you think that it might be something that our donors would be interested in, then please reach out and come and speak to myself or members of the team. On a kind of another point is being an advocate for our campaign. So Challenge Accepted has launched, and we've been working with a number of people throughout the faculty who are almost our campaign ambassadors. So getting involved with assets, whether that's online or through our social media, and that we keep talking about bringing this to life for people, and those stories really do get people interested in what we're doing. So I talked earlier about how do people come to us, because we're telling them what we're doing. And you mentioned that we're actually not great at doing that. This campaign is our vehicle to be more vocal and shout about what we're doing. So to academic colleagues, I would say, if you've got brilliant stories to be telling, then come and tell them to us. And put your hand up to be a campaign ambassador. We'd love to hear from you. There are so many people that we introduce to donors and potential donors when they come on campus, or when we're meeting them out kind of globally. And the other thing to say is a plug that if you are passionate about the institution and want to give, you can give yourself as well. So Purple Pennies is a great way for all of our staff to give, through kind of payroll giving as well. So if you're interested in giving, then there are vehicles through which you can do it as well.
Fantastic. So it's not all one direction. It can be the other way as well. No, that's very helpful. And I think that need to have a story, or to tell a story that's compelling,
absolutely,
and to demonstrate, you know, what you're trying to do is important, why you're doing it, and why it's, and be passionate, right? I think to me it's being passionate about, you know, what, because that your passion then comes through, right, to show that you care about what you're trying to do. And
you never know who you're talking to. So again, comes down to back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of what does a philanthropist or a donor typically look like. There is no typical. You never know who you're talking to and who might want to support your work. And so just being open to the fact that people might want to philanthropically support your work, and making those connections and bringing in my team where appropriate to potentially explore that with maybe your connections, maybe your network. We can be really helpful there. And being able to tell your stories really effectively, so that we can go out and tell your stories really effectively.
And there is something, just I guess, to touch on that I've certainly experienced and benefited from as well, is that obviously there's the monetary aspect of it. People will donate and there's some funding, but I think what I've certainly experienced as well, that some of these donors, many of these donors come from a different field from your own field. Quite different, and actually they can bring expertise and skills that benefit, and they're willing to put into your, you know, they can link you to the media, they can link you into business, they can link, you know, so I think there's a real there's other added benefits, is there not, to that partnership building.
Of course, and yes, in more ways than we can imagine. So we have a global leadership board that assists us with philanthropic strategy, and they help us make connections to people, between people, and this is not even in terms of just research as well. So the number of our donors that work with our students and can help connect and create opportunities. One of the brilliant things about working in philanthropy is that people are there to give. And it's not, as you say, it's not just money. They're invested in pursuing something, seeing something grow, enabling it to flourish. And so, yes, in very many cases, it's not just about a financial transaction. It's about building a relationship. And as you've seen with Fiona and the rest of the family, that can span many years and be a wonderful thing for all parties to be involved in.
Brilliant, fantastic. So Katie, just to finish then, what is it that's most rewarding about your job?
I love people. I love talking to people, and I love connecting people. So our donors have kind of a passion, belief, and they want to partner to facilitate real world change. So I see myself as a small cog in making things like that happen, and I derive great joy from it. I, on a day-to-day basis, learn new things every day about very different areas of the university and about our donors. They come from all walks of life, and all have a story to tell. And so what I love is aligning what they're really passionate about and what we're really brilliant at the university, and making brilliant things happen. And to feel like a small part in that is job satisfaction in abundance. So
brilliant. Well,
yeah.
What more can you ask for?
Exactly. What have you loved about working in philanthropy and working with donors?
I think same as you from the point of view, I do love working with people. You know, that's why I've stayed in academia for so long, because it's the people that to me make academia, and the constant, I guess, change and new students coming through and new colleagues, and it's a constant, I guess, meeting new people in conferences and going out and internationally and meeting people, and I think that then you build relationships. Donors is a new, I guess, area to work with and partner with and partner with. I think the partnership working, seeing people have that real, passion or drive for something because for whatever reason, whether it be a personal thing that's happened to them or their family, or whether it's something they care about that's affecting society. Yeah. And I think definitely it's definitely a people thing, and trying to and seeing how that then influences and you can impact change, right? Or you can actually achieve your goals. I've loved that aspect of it, and that they value what we do, right? So there's a certain value, you feel that actually the job you're doing is exciting, and actually we're doing something which is worthwhile. Yeah, exactly. Moving forward, so that's
and then that ripple effect, I think. So we've worked with you for a number of years, and a number of donors, not just here in Manchester but globally as well, and almost that connection of seeing the ripple effect of when people support that work and then it's spoken about, and then other people want to get involved, and that network that opens up for you, for your colleagues, for the research. So
no, absolutely, it does. It has certainly opened other avenues, I guess, where the research is appreciated or just even people are aware of it, rather than, I guess, traditional academic routes or enclosures. So it's really exciting, and I think it's an aspect. It's not not everyone has to do philanthropy or be engaged in it, but I think it certainly has added value to my career moving forward.
Well, that's good to know.
That's fantastic. So it's clearly exciting times. Challenge accepted. We that calls out there. The Jeffrey Jefferson Brain Research Centre has accepted that challenge. I think many of us want to accept it, and I think it's really exciting to get behind the campaign. So hopefully people will come on board. Yes. Hopefully it's successful. More than successful. Let's go beyond the £400 million target.
That's the plan.
So Katie, thanks ever so much for, I guess, opening the door on philanthropy and talking about it and your job and your role. Yeah. It's been really great.
Well, I'd love to, people that are interested in hearing more, finding out more, exploring whether there's opportunity for them and their work, I'd love to hear from you and the rest of the team as well. So thank you for inviting us on. If people want to hear more about, find out more about Challenge Accepted, then please visit manchester.ac.uk/breakthrough. Yes, please do reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
Brilliant. Thanks. Well, thanks so much, Katie.
Thank you, Stuart.